Hi everyone. I am super excited to be sharing the space tonight. We're going to be talking about intro to sexual trauma healing. And Yariela Sequeira is a licensed mental health counselor. We're offering this beautiful event June 27th, Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Time. It's a free event and it's via Zoom. So go to my Instagram bio link or just to my website, michellealva.com. And it's called Sexual Trauma Healing, and giving you all strategies on how we can navigate through that. And we were just doing an Instagram live and for some reason it just turned off. And it's interesting because I was just going to share something really deep and personal. And this has happened to me before. I don't know if I'm manifesting this, but when I teach my Zoom classes too, and I'm going into this deeper share, maybe there's something going on where there's some deep things that I wish to share with people, and I don't have to be scared, because what I realize is with sexual trauma healing, there's so many people where we don't talk about, hey, you know, I had sexual trauma, or my vagina hurts me when I have sex for 10 years with my husband. Do you think it might be related to my trauma that happened when I was 12? And so people, you're awesome, I don't know, but you are attractive, you got my attention all the time. Thank you. Just remember that when you're attracted to me or whoever, we're attracted because we have qualities that we want to expand and grow, and we see ourselves in other people. And this is really awesome how when someone gives me a compliment, I don't take anything too heavily, whether it's not a nice compliment or a nice compliment, because I have my self-esteem from my own self. And it's so important for us, especially people that have had sexual trauma, for us to really create our own relationship with ourselves. And so thank you for that comment. Wonderful. And remember, whatever you feel about me, you could be like, cool, I get to see this awesomeness in Michelle because I'm awesome. So always bring it back to yourself. This is something in relationships. I thought my ex-husband was God. Like, I put him up on a pedestal, and he is an amazing guy. You know, he's awesome, he's smart. But the thing is, like, we give our power away so much when we do that. So the awesomeness you see in me, that's in you. And I just want to say that. And I hope that you take that in an awesome way. And let's see if I can invite back Yariela, because something just happened where she got booted out. But this is one of the beliefs that I have, is everything is always perfect. So when we have these little glitches on Instagram Live or Zoom classes, they're perfectly imperfect, these little glitches. So here she comes back again. So this is where we could just ride the waves of life and just go in and out of these waves and swirl through it all. And here we start again talking about sexual trauma healing. They only seem to go only on one-on-one live, sis. They only see, oh really, that's interesting. We perfectly glitched and we started again. And that's just life, folks. We navigate through it and we just go like this. Woo! We just have a lot of fun.
The universe has jokes tonight. I'm like, where is she? I don't know. Oh my God.
So I was telling everybody about the June 27 event that we're doing together, that we met each other, and I reached out to you. I think Sandy mentioned she had done something with you. She's so awesome. I love her. And then I was like, wow, you know, she's a licensed mental health counselor. She works with people that have had sexual trauma, and I'm sure you work with other types of people. And I would love it if you want to share from your perspective, like what strategies, and we're going to go deeper in this on Saturday, June 27th, and a little bit more about what you do so that people can know, my tribe can know also, to have you as a resource, because I feel like the work I do is so awesome for women that want to heal and release and process in their body those emotions of trauma, that have been going to therapy, that just want to integrate more their actual body and their vibration with the awesome work that you do. And so I feel it's so beautiful to have all of these different types of forms to come back to that healing. So can you share more about your specific passion, the type of people you work with, and how you serve them?
I've been a lover of this field since I have a memory. So therefore, I've been expanding as I grew within the field, as I connected with the field. And thankfully, thanks to the journey that I've had, I've also been eclectic in the sense that I also like to incorporate other resources that might not have anything to do with counseling. Because just like Michelle said, the more resources we have and the more complementary practices that we find so that we can explore ourselves and come out of our shells, the better. So I am, yes, a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. However, I don't really see that title as important. Not anything against the board, but it's just because we're so much more than that, right? And in my field, thankfully, there's a lot of us nowadays that are much more than just the clinical book type of therapist. So having said that, I work only with adults, and the only reason why is because I have worked with children before, and my heart goes out to them, but the parents, when they're not involved, is so frustrating. And that led me into choosing to just work with adults who are really committed to doing their own work and having no middle person in between. So I mainly work with adults, and in this beautiful journey that I've had a lot of work with anxiety, and I've had a lot of work with depression, and I love working with life stressors and anything that is related to fear and shifting your story from the past into the present moment and how you want to expand from that, right? So I'm definitely a lover of exploring how past narratives might still be active in your present and how we can shift those. I used to say change, but now it's all about shifting.
I love that. Yes, I do the same with like mindset shift. And
yeah, change sounds like a lot of work, and it's not really a lot of work. It's a matter of looking into what is active in us that is no longer serving us and just shifting that and moving that energy around and expanding the perspective, integrating the narrative. So I like to work a lot with fear and a lot of shadow work, which is, I think, what Michelle, I think it was last night that she was mentioning it, because we were in a presentation that Michelle did last night. So yeah, it was shadow work and integrating that aspect of ourselves that we know we don't look at normally and bringing it up to light. So
yes, I'd love to ask the group to keep them engaged, if you don't mind me interrupting here. If people that are listening, our intention is to just open up the conversation more and being vulnerable and talking about sexual trauma healing, maybe even just trauma healing for some people that may not even realize. We were talking on the previous video how the way that we were treated by the opposite, you know, depending on who interacted with you, like with men, for example, when we were children, our first impressions, it's kind of cute because I remember when I was young, my parent, you know, family's from Peru, and there was this guy, and I remember he was blonde and green eyes, and so I thought, like, gringo, you know, this gringo likes me. And because my mom, I mean, I don't want to kind of share too much, but I definitely feel like being Peruvian, there was this racism, I guess, of the dark people or Indian, and then I happen to be light skinned and I look different, and so somehow I had this nobody said this, but it was almost like you're better than the Indians or something like that. Like, and I actually had a crush on this young boy at age, I think it was 7th grade, and he was from Trinidad and Tobago, and I was like, oh my God, I can't tell my mom, like nobody can know, I have to hide this. And he had dimples, this dark guy, but then the guy that was blonde, this is all in 7th grade, he liked me too. So I feel like I preferred to talk to the blonde guy because somehow my mom, even though my mom knew nothing of what's going on in my life in 7th grade, that I made the decisions more based on the whatever that perception, judgment that I had about what my mom would approve of. And mind you, I was only whatever age in 7th grade. And I went to Peru for like a month, and that boy, the blonde boy, when I got back, he was seeing someone else, and I think I wrote him a letter. I'm remembering this, and so I thought like, oh, you know, somebody doesn't like me a month later. Like I wasn't enough for someone to stay loyal. Yeah. And so I think something else like that happened before in my younger years. And then my dad leaving when I was 12, I was like, damn it, you know, men don't stay. And so I really feel that's been like my most scariest. Let me not even dive deeper with anyone, because then I will never be confronted with somebody else abandoning me. So playing that victim role, I really believe that I've been so good at protecting my heart for a lot of years that only till recently have I really, and I'm being so raw and real right now, and I love it, because I myself, like I'm a Cancer goddess, and we're so good at being crabs and protecting ourselves. And so recently, that's why I talk so much about massaging your heart. It's really for me, you know? So I feel like I'm become a soft shell crab now, and I wanna let someone in. Like somebody said to me, Michelle, you know, there's somebody on this planet with 7 billion people that you're actually not being very nice by letting someone love you, by letting someone in. And don't you feel you're deserving of that? And don't be so selfish. And so I started crying when my friend was telling me this, how there is someone that's going to want to love you, Michelle, and they're not going to want to leave, and they're not going to want to go with someone else. But then a part of me is like, I mean, if I had a penis that feels so good putting it in, like, you know, like I honestly feel, but see that, I guess that's what you do when you're in love with someone. You don't want to be with someone else. But being raised from Peru, like my family, I mean, I don't want to reveal too much about personal, like, and put my dad out there, but I know the Peruvian men in my family, the Alva family, they have a lot of testosterone and loyalty with marriage. I feel as though, and I'm generalizing here, I'm sorry for the Peruvians, but there's something about my cousins and my family where you marry this woman that's more Virgin Mary type, but then you go have sex like with your lover, your whore, that other woman, but it's like normal. What?
It's in the Hispanic culture. That's part of the Hispanic
culture. I feel sad talking, like, but I really thought, oh, a man's never going to be loyal. So I recently have become more aware of these beliefs. So never mind, I'm not going to really bother manifesting somebody who's really just wants to be with me, because they don't exist, because this is my subconscious, unconscious being raised thinking. And then the woman that you marry is like the boring woman that doesn't want to have sex. So I literally I have clients that are Latino, that they're married to the Virgin Mary, but then they're cheating on the other woman. And the thing is, do we not believe that we can have it all? So I actually was coached, you know, by Michelle Rosa. She's like, Michelle, you can have it all. You can have it all. Why, you know, don't think so less of men. And then I was like, I'm sorry, men. I'm sorry, man. You know, all of men on the planet. I'm so sorry for thinking so little of you. And so I've had to forgive myself. It's so funny.
And that's where your narrative started changing. But it's true, because for many of you, I'm sure you already have heard that it's between 0 to 7 years of age when our foundation or programming starts kicking in unconsciously or subconsciously. Therefore, we are not aware sometimes that those programming are still active in us and still impacting the way we're choosing or not relationships or partners or even friendships with the opposite or same gender, because they are very much our truth that we're applying from a very long time ago that might no longer be the case, right? So your story is exactly right. We are sometimes building ourselves in our present moment from programs that are so past gone that don't apply, yet they're still impacting us in our daily present life. So it takes narrative exploration and digging to say, okay, well, I now know, now thinking back, I think that this happened, and maybe this, I remember this, and now that I look into my culture and how it impacted, I could see this, and then your narrative starts expanding and you start shifting into a different perspective.
Yeah, and that is so true. And something else that is amazing, folks, is the minute you start healing this, the minute you drop that narrative, you drop that biased perception, you attract somebody new in your life. That, so the amazing thing is, when I started to change my beliefs, I started attracting friends that are married, that have committed relationships, where the husband is like, I adore my wife. So I was like, oh my God, I'm attracting couples. I'm attracting committed couples. They exist, you know? It's so cool
Because
to
you are
watch.
attracting your reality.
Yeah, so,
And
and
it's
then
based on what reality you activate, right? So the more I activate this reality and this narrative, I'm going to start seeing more of that. And the more I keep my past reality, the more I live in that, right? So
amazing.
it's the constant realization that we hold the power to shift which reality we want to be engaged with and which reality we want to start looking at from a different, bigger, more integrated perspective. And how are we going to allow ourselves to express ourselves, not only sexually, sensually, but overall, right?
It's so amazing. And all these stories that we make up, that if a man wants to have sex too soon, all he wants is sex. Or, and the amazing thing is how, I mean, I've worked with men and women and couples, and I've had clients say, Rochelle, I met this woman, I don't want to have sex with her, I want to get to know her. You know, this happened to me like 2 years ago. These two separate male clients was like so excited, and they said, I'm so nervous, I met someone and I really like her, and I don't want to have sex with her, I want to get to know her, I want to take her out, I want to do things with her. And I started crying. I was like, tell me that again, tell me again, tell me what you're feeling. It was for me, like, I needed to hear that men exist like that, that's not their first priority. But then again, my other friend was saying, but what's wrong with that? If a man wants to have sex with you, Michelle, don't make up a story about it. There could be a beautiful spiritual dating connection, that the sex doesn't have to define, that every single person you interact with is a separate, unique, beautiful, and not to say, oh, he wants this, that means that, because then I'm living in the, and that's what I was creating. And so it's been beautiful to see how there's all types of different everything.
Yes, and sometimes there's confusion. We get distracted with the different information because, you know, there are books out there that say, don't have sex for this long period of time, because if you do, then the person is going to see you in this way. And that could be true if you believe it, right? And if that person that you're with believes it too. So it's a matter of looking into what really are we believing about ourselves, because true story, I met my current partner and we became intimate very, very quickly. And that was not the usual for me. And 3 and some years later, here we are. And I have no doubt in my mind that that man has ever been unfaithful or even thought about it. And that 90-day rule did not apply with us. And having said that, for us, right? Because he didn't believe that and I didn't believe that. And we were sharing that reality. So that restriction did not apply for us within that reality.
So true. That's why it's so important to come back to our hearts and to connect to our soul and to just really be in the present moment. So today I live differently, where I check in with myself constantly, not just in relating with the opposite sex, but in relating in my friendships with women or my daughter. So what I've learned is to check in with my body, and am I gravitating towards this event, this experience? Am I interested? Does this make me feel that I'm floating, like in the flow and uplifting? And but if it feels heavy, then I no longer wish to, I don't even attract that anymore. I feel as though my life today is more magical and more, because I won't cheat on myself anymore. I will not do anything that I'm not interested in. Yeah, I will not. I will not, you know.
Having said that, sometimes for those of you that have cheated on yourselves, because I am guilty of that.
I totally have.
For those of us that have been there, it's not a matter of us guilting ourselves for having done that, because those opportunities allow us to wake up and revise that cheating and be like, okay, is this really working out for me? Because sometimes we're living off values that are not really serving us anymore. And we're just so accustomed to them that we don't even take time to acknowledge them until we're cheated. And we're like, what just happened? Why does it keep happening to me? And then my cheating pattern woke me up, right? So for those of us out there who have been guilty of cheating ourselves, it's about how we pay attention to what we're doing, whether it's good or bad, but what are we going to make out of it? And how much restrictions are we putting into that? And do we really want to keep them? Right?
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true to, our body is our source of wisdom. And I do so much work about embodiment. And so for people out there, I don't know how much time you spend, but I love to massage myself. And I do my meditation in the morning, which consists of guided meditation that is my own meditation, and then just pretty much feeling all of my body and moving the energy, feeling the energy of love. And so it's amazing how different emotions, memories, things come up. And like right after COVID started and we had the pandemic and we had to be home, the first couple of weeks, there was a lot of crying that I did, that I even thought of things with my ex-husband 8 years ago, my divorce. And I feel as though I said to myself, I want to spend an hour by myself every morning, first thing, not turn on my phone. And so I did. I committed to myself, and I was really big on becoming more committed to this meditation time. And so after about 45 minutes, something changes, or 30 minutes sometimes, that the longer the time I'm meditating, I would go into this deeper well. And every other day, it seemed that, things would just come up from the past, and how I made myself feel so guilty because I wasn't really nice to him, and I would nag, and I would be very, very nitpicky on him for whatever reason. And it's been 8 years. And so then I was crying like, yay, I'm getting rid of this. I'm going to meet someone that is more open and not just, whatever I've been holding, that I feel like I've been kind of protecting myself of attracting anyone new, and, or who knows what's going to happen, but, it's really interesting how I wonder if other people felt the same way. If you want to share, do you feel this COVID time has been great for you to also just stop and spend more time with that quiet part of yourself, that to allow whatever it is that all of us were maybe a little too busy to spend time with? But it's made me realize how important it is to, just like we go to the bathroom to poop, and we go release, our shit. It's so important to do the emotional bowel
We have
movements
to, literally, we have to release our shit, literally. Yes.
The topic is about healing sexual trauma. Somebody just wrote, what is the topic about? The topic is about processing our emotions. It's really important. And how we were treated birth to 7 years old affects how we play out our relationships at 40, 30, 50, and how many of us are living on these programs about what we think the opposite sex is, or what sex is supposed to be, or if we have had trauma, sexual trauma when we were 12 or 13, how maybe that causes us to be not orgasmic with our husbands at age 40, and how that plays into how we show up right now, and how a lot of us don't even know that is happening.
Yeah, and like you were saying, and how our bodies also store information that might not be conscious to our conscious mind because we're not paying attention to it. Maybe we don't have the time to connect with ourselves and meditate, right? Or we tell ourselves that. Yet our body, some way, somehow, is going to let us know that something is being stored. I know for myself that for some months, a couple months back, I had been noticing that my knees were bothering me. And I started paying attention, and it would come and go. And then I realized that I was holding anxiety in my knees. So my knees were trying to tell me that, hey, girl, you check it, do something, right? And for a long time, I just decided to disregard it. I'm like, it's no big deal. It's, maybe it's, I'm crazy. No, my body is, whatever. Because I was so busy and I didn't just want to pay attention. I had other plans. but then it wouldn't go away. It wouldn't go away. So I started being a little bit more serious about it and respecting the fact that my body needed to poop out and it needed to release the shit. And I decided in my own way, based on the rituals that I follow, that I was going to start paying attention and that I was going to allow my body to purge, literally, because it needed to purge. And once I started doing those little practices, my body started feeling better and my knees are better too.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, I had a pain in my ass a couple months ago, literally, and I would spend time massaging my booty, and it was me just being scared of going forward. That's what I got from touching myself there and just like asking my butt, what is this pain in the ass? Because I work with people that literally say, Michelle, my back hurts me, my neck hurts me, I have a pain in the neck. So sometimes that'll come up, that who is the pain in the neck in your life? And so it's like, oh my God, it's my ex-husband, or oh my God, it's my mother-in-law. You know, when you go to that body part, it's amazing how we literally are holding people. It's our own perception, though.
Yes,
it's not
and
the person.
There's actually a book, I don't know if you have heard of it, it's called The Body Keeps the Score. And it goes into information of how our body literally is keeping the stories that we have had throughout the years, and how based on whether or not we have released certain aspects of that story, our body's keeping the score. And that's how we develop illnesses or dis-ease, or we're having this constant pain or migraines, because our bodies are trying to communicate and say, hey girl, or hey man, like there's something here that we have to look into.
It makes me think of the women that have had chronic yeast infections, and then they get the divorce, or they break up with the person moves out, and then they don't get the yeast infections anymore. And your genitals are speaking, or a man who will say, Michelle, I just can't get hard when I'm with my wife anymore. What's going on? And then they discover that they don't feel safe with their wife because it's gotten so toxic, the relationship, that there's no more, the love hormone is not present, and so it can't make it work. And so it's so beautiful how our bodies won't allow us to lie to ourselves. We protect ourselves, but your body's not going to let you. It wants you to heal. It wants you to love deeper. It wants you to feel that authentic love that I feel that is why your body is not working. It's actually not working. It's working by not working.
In the clinical term, we have this beautiful term called somaticizing, which is when our bodies is expressing something that emotionally we're not letting ourselves express. So there's a lot of somatization that happens, and it's quite regular, people. For instance, again, true story, I was in a relationship where I was holding a lot of resentment towards intimacy and commitment, and a lot of fear toward commitment itself. And for about four or 5 years, I was bleeding intermittently, and no fucking doctor could tell me what it was, right? And I had multiple ultrasounds. I had all this happening. Mind you, at the time, I wasn't aware that it was my fear and my issue of commitment and all these things happening, because I was focusing on the medical reasons. So, behold, fast forward, that relationship ended, and my endometriosis, which had been recently diagnosed after 4 years and some, went away.
Wow.
Went away. From 1 month to the next.
Amazing. Amazing.
Our bodies are constantly trying to tell us that there's something there, or that we need to pay attention to something. And in itself, it's going to impact not only our sexual expression, but our relationship period with those in our life, right? It doesn't have to be a partner. It doesn't have to be a romantic interest. It can be even our children, our children. So it's just to bring awareness of how this is happening, and it's more common than what we sometimes talk about.
Yeah, and what is your body communicating with you people can take a moment right now to reflect, you know, what are those parts of my body where I have chronic tension? Where have I maybe gone to the doctor and you have an imbalance? And I know Dr. Marlene Tejas Cordova, she's a person that I teach the essential oils classes with. She's amazing. I don't know if you've met her, but she tells me so many stories. She's amazing as far as her patients and the different things of how our emotions play into our hormones and our emotions, which a lot of it is resentment, guilt, shame, bitterness. And so like I'm offering this class, The Wild Woman of Abundance, and it starts June 23rd. And it's amazing because I've talked a lot about sexual health and sexual expansion, and I talk a lot about Tantra. And so sometimes people think all I do is sexual work, you know, work with people, teaching them how to have a healthy sex life. But it's all about having a healthy heart life and integrating your heart with your sex. And a lot of us have not done that, especially when we have sexual trauma. The heart becomes very protected. I know this because I lived it. And so I know the difference between me being shut down and now me being connected, and the energy, the love, you know, the flow of vitality that flows through me. I just want everybody to learn how to be magnetic and radiant. Look 20 years younger.
You don't have to be in a relationship to enjoy that wealth and abundance that Michelle is talking about, because you could be single and start doing your work, and you're going to start shifting and attracting another type of reality, another dynamic. So don't think that, oh, I'm single, so it's not going to work out for me. No, it's about you and your relationship with yourself and how you're going to connect to that sensuality and that energy and that coochie power that Michelle talks about and that she loves all the time. Right?
And how we sex is everything in our life. How we show up in our sexuality is a metaphor for how we everything. And so it's so important for us to connect to that coochie power. And sometimes we're scared of that coochie power. And so that'll be another video we'll talk about. But folks, join us June 27. Please message us. We will send you the link. I'm so excited. We're going to go deeper. We're going to get more intimate together. And you're going to have a full hour with us.
Eventbrite people.
Message us. Yeah, I have the link on my Instagram bio, and it's also on my website, michellealva.com. I love you. I can't wait. And also, I would love it if people want to message us anything that we shared that supported you. Give us feedback of how these help you out, because we're going to be doing more of these. If there's other topics you want us to talk about, I'm so excited to just continue to work with you, Yadi, and I love you. And I met her boyfriend or husband?
Whichever.
Boyfriend. I love her. And they are just the yummiest couple. We got to get him on too, you know. I don't know if he's open for that, but you guys are so awesome together.
He's shy, but don't believe him.
I'm sending you a big hug, and goodbye, everyone. Remember, you can shift it all, and we shift it all into yumminess, and to love whatever we're feeling, just to love wherever we're at. So important. Big hug.
Yes, much love to everybody.
Ciao, Linda. Thank you.
Bye.